So, Shingy, with the future of marketing and PR shifting so rapidly, and obviously there's so many technology companies now, it's so competitive. What do you suggest for technology companies and brands to really stand out from the crowd?
So if we're thinking about tech companies, if it's tech software, it's got to create efficiencies and solutions in the software development and delivery that, in my mind, produces incredible insights to allow you to say, that I would not have thought out or thought of without all of those signals. With that, I can then do something creative. Love that. If it's technology hardware, it has to solve that problem, which is it on the production end? Is it actually on the point of view end? Is it something that's radically different that's going to give somebody a different way to design or to shoot or to create a different POV? I think there's this honest reset of how brands can re-establish by some things that seem quite basic. So old KPIs go away. So we're not really trying to create simple things like, return on investment. We're trying to talk about return on involvement. We're not talking about creating, ripples. We're standing here at the Sydney pool. We're trying to create a movement. And if technology, whether it's software or hardware, can help do that because it allows me to be different, the things that will differentiate companies and brands, period, full stop, regardless of the sector, are points of view, taste, style, and definitions that technology will enable you to create, but not define. And I think that's where the human instinct and human design comes way before any of the tools. And that's where things like AI on one side and a creator who can help amplify it. That's why that's a nice symbiosis today. It's a great balanced relationship. That bit in the middle is, where is that going to happen? And the problem today is that people talk about omni-channel. I think it's an ecosystem. An ecosystem is very basic, which is 8 in the morning. Do you have permission to come and hold my intention at 8 in the morning versus 8 at night, where I have a different need state? If so, your brand's doing really well. If not, it's intrusive and it's called ads. And nobody wants ads. I'll give you a reason why. There are 3 billion people on planet connected to the internet. There's 1 billion ad blockers. Do we think that's great news? That's bloody terrible news. And so for those of us in media, we need to understand that if ads are being blocked, the only way to get around that is a different way. And that different way today is have a creator do it. But the problem with creators is that the platforms today only support certain mechanisms like affiliate links. That sounds like a 20-year-old discussion. So I think creativity and the way that the amplification of a great idea gets determined, that's the development path that in the future that I think will be amazing. Not an affiliate link. It needs to feel like some other type of relationship that makes it worthy of me trusting you. Back to that word of trust. And on the flip side of it, as AI continues to develop, point of view, style, and taste are the only things that are going to stand out. And those tools will help you amplify that. Look, we're standing in an area where I used to be. I used to live here 1 million years ago, it feels like.
I live in Mexico.
But what's nuts about this is that I was here as a young designer. And I literally was the last school of classic graphic design. The year after me was all about desktop publishing. The industry created, we couldn't get a job to save our lives. Everybody thought 16.7 million colors and 256 fonts was it. We're done. And so the industry had to reset. Bromides went away, typesetting went away. You know these are old systems. And then we had these new shiny tools called the internet, and we had computers, and suddenly we could design anything and make it feel incredible. So those efficiencies are coming much faster than we've seen in the past, but they're just these incredible tools that are changing the paradigm. How you balance that in the middle, that's the modern marketing. Wow, that's a long-winded way of saying something.
Yeah, great. Another question that comes to mind, because we see a lot of awesome creativity in B2C, right? Amazing. But then you go to B2B and it's almost so boring. Very rarely is it interesting and fun and different and eye-catching. Why do you think it is? Why do you think that B2B, and especially B2B tech brands, are so reticent of becoming a little bit more creative, stepping outside the box, just embracing some fun and excitement?
Well, there are two things. Fun and excitement may not be aligned to that brand. Also, B2B, business to business, it starts at that. It couldn't be more conservative. So suddenly when we categorize it as B2B, because that's the context, B2B being business to business, we lose any of those elements. But the truth is, maybe it should be brand to brand. And when we rebrand B2B, you have the permission to rebrand the way that you actually interact with them. So if fun, if surprise, if delight is actually part of what your brand delivers, then hell yeah, have at it. But if you're conservative, safe, and you are all about making sure you're protecting, well, have at it. But I think the biggest part of that, and I already gave it away, in the middle, regardless of whether it's brand to consumer or it's brand to brand, surprise is the biggest kept secret.
Yes.
Because if you move somebody, if I'm moved, whether I laugh or cry, to actually pass that brand on without you being around to talk about it, that's enormous. Because peer-to-peer reviews, word of mouth, all of these old connotations for how we used to understand and develop brands are very modern today. And so that's a great way to think about how you should play. It's really about what do you stand for, and are you doing it in a way that feels like it's human? At the end of the day, the person at the other end of that screen, that relationship is human to human. So whether you're building trust or you're building surprise, you want to help people amplify that as quickly as humanly possible, in my opinion. Here's one other thing that I think is interesting. You talk about B2B being boring. Yeah, I would agree with that, except recently, as I was watching the Super Bowl work, the one that stood out for me, one ad by Salesforce. Couldn't be more of a B2B piece of software, enterprise level. Give their brand over to somebody who uses their enterprise level software to run their enterprise, but does it from a contagious perspective, what they did with Mr. Beast. It wasn't a one and done ad. It was a treasure hunt that went on for quite some time. So what happens is you develop this strategy that's like, it's not a one and done. It's not this spike on spend. It's a lot of rumor beforehand, like have they given their brand over to this guy who has incredible influence? Yes. The flip side of that is we'll do this thing live at the experience, and then we're going to continue it on with this treasure hunt. And by the way, they use the tools. And if in the introduction to Salesforce is Slack, so a little tiny marketing channel tool, effectively, not tiny, billions and billions of dollars in value, that's probably a great shoehorn into the rest of the enterprise solutions that someone like Salesforce provides. So I actually think it is a really good example of not being boring, but being contextually relevant, that instills the application of how this product works for me and solves a problem. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, and we're huge advocates of just being a bit more brave and bold in PR and marketing.
Yeah, maybe it should be brave to bold.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for your time. It's
You're
been
very
a
welcome.
pleasure, as always, speaking with you.
What a pleasure. Thanks.